Great. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. Hi, my name is Hilary Milnes. I am the Executive Americas Editor at Vogue Business, and I am joined this morning by Kat Cole, the CEO of AG1. Hi, Kat.
Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Thanks for
Bright and early on the last day.
Yeah, here we go. So AG1 is one of the most recognizable names in supplements today. 3 years ago, it was valued at 1.2 billion, doing around 160 million in revenue. Today, you're doing about 3 times that, 600 million. So, we can do the math, and that is all off of one product, a daily health drink. So, how do you maintain that momentum?
It has been incredible momentum. For those who don't know, AG1, formerly known as Athletic Greens, is this incredible high-quality daily health drink trusted by Olympians, pro athletes, busy parents, professionals, fitness enthusiasts. And while it is green, it is so much more than greens. It combines a multivitamin, pro and prebiotics, and then phytonutrients, the green part. And the thing that's driven our growth, even though we get so much attention for being early to more modern ways of marketing, so earlier to the creator economy, earlier to podcasts, and very dominant in those areas, even at our peak of leaning into that, it was still a minority of our source of traffic. It was a minority of our customer acquisition. Our customer growth has been and continues to be driven by one lead factor, and it is recommendations and referrals by existing customers. It's a subscription business, 90% subscription business. So it's a daily health drink. It lends itself to subscription. We don't need to heavily market or convince you to subscribe. If you drink it, it supports your nutrients and gut health. You feel better. You believe in the science behind it. You drink it every day. A subscription is much more convenient than maybe some alternate approach. So that compounds over time. High quality product. It's been innovated many times over the years. Upgraded ingredients, upgraded research. So we keep making it better so that we disrupt ourselves. And that helps us stay out front, raising the standard while the competitive landscape changes.
And you mentioned, the innovation over the years. So it's actually been around for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And you joined the company in 2021, became CEO last year. So tell us, how have you seen the supplement landscape change in those 15 years? But then, I would say even in the last 4, we've seen a massive shift.
I'll touch on a few things that have changed over the longer arc, and I'm sure we've seen this in many of your industries, even if you're not in supplements or wellness or F&B. One big shift is just we as consumers are smarter, we're more informed, we're more disciplined, we do more research, and that's more prominent in certain categories more than others. It's become far more accelerated in the supplement space for very good reasons. If you're putting it in your body, you have access to research. People want to know more about what they're putting in their bodies. And that's changed over time. What else has changed, at least in supplements, is the level of rigor and sophistication of the companies in the space. And so in the early days, you'd think of like old school multivitamin brands or maybe the early probiotic brands, but there wasn't much else. Now there's a proliferation of individual vitamins, blended supplements like ours that are more comprehensive, and then there are degrees of premiumness within that, something less expensive that may or may not mean lower quality, some mid-tier where you get a mix of both price point increase as well as quality investment, and then you get into the premium space. So there's been a premiumization of the supplement category that we've been one of the leaders in, that's led by massive investments in high quality ingredients, manufacturing and supply chain that didn't exist even 5 years ago. I mean, some of our high standards in heavy metals, contaminants, just quality of manufacturing, it was difficult to find manufacturers large enough who could meet our standard. Now, because we found those and expanded our manufacturing to the US, we're helping along with other great companies to accelerate the supply chain of manufacturers that can manufacture higher quality supplements, which then makes it possible for more premium brands to enter the space. And then what hasn't changed is we started D2C before it was cool, And we're still D2C.
100%.
15 years later.
Wow.
100%. That will change in the future. At some point, you get to a scale where in order to reach the next ring out customer, to your question, how do you continue that growth? We need to meet our customers where they are. And they're not all online. We're online and our businesses are online, but there are many customers who prefer to purchase anything, or in particular, a consumable in a place that they can touch and feel and try. And so that's going to mean expanding into more traditional retail at some point.
Interesting. We'll get to that. I want to first talk about wellness as a category. We've seen it change drastically. It's really top of mind for people. I would say it's almost become a buzzword at this point.
Yeah.
Everything is wellness. It is, there's, supplements as part of that. Sleep is wellness, sexual wellness. And, at the same time, we're seeing a shift back to diet culture driven by the Ozempic era. So it feels like there's a lot of activity, a lot of competition, a lot of misinformation. How do you navigate that? How do you tread carefully and make sure you're, staying in your lane, but also building that trust with your customers?
Well, you just touched on something that I think is part of our success and our formula is staying in our lane. I think we're the extreme case of staying in a lane. We've done one thing for 15 years and not anything else, possibly even to a fault. There's an opportunity for us to expand a little in the near future, but we've been rewarded for that focus. So for us, as wellness has evolved to be mind, body, soul, spirit, gut, brain, all of the longevity, right? Wellness has almost started to take a sharp turn into everything wellness being bucketed under longevity. Of course, they're related. If you're well, your life quality and potentially lifespan will be longer. But we've chosen not to try to be all those things to all people, to say AG1 is nutrients and gut health. It is daily morning routines of something that gives you nutrients and gut health support with these high quality ingredients that taste good enough to actually drink it every day in the most bioavailable form, which is what most closely mimics food. And we focus. We stay focused on that. As the world of opportunity has expanded, look, we've been tempted. We have customers that are like, please make protein, please make this. Please. We've got a lot of requests from customers to make more versions or different things. But we've said, while we could, AG1 is incredibly differentiated. It is super hard to make. There may be lower cost knockoffs and lookalikes and things that are out there. I wouldn't give them to my family.
Right.
And so this idea of staying focused, not getting distracted, but yet recognizing where research is moving. There's more research on gut health now than there ever has been. And AG1 supports gut health. So one of the things we did is we saw that body of research being more accessible to the consumer is started layering on a gold standard of investing in double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trials, which is a mouthful. But it's not something that supplement companies, most of them even have. Most companies, even like us when we started, start with research on the ingredients, you use that research, you make the thing, putting those things together, and then you market those benefits that are research backed, if you are a high integrity marker and want to be compliant with the FTC, which we are, not all are. Then we realized the consumer's going to a more sophisticated place, so we need to invest millions in these far more rigorous trials. So last year, actually the last few years, we pulled back our marketing spend. Heresy, I know, but we made the decision that instead of just marketing more into the industry's explosion, we needed to pull back a bit to invest in the next curve, which is more clinical rigor being layered on. That's what helps us cut through in the noise. And then if you layer on, you mentioned GLP-1s, while they are a thing in and of themselves and are transforming the world in ways we have yet to fully appreciate, there's a way for AG1 to stay in our lane there as well. One of the things that we know of people who are taking these peptides or these pharmacological interventions is that in many cases, almost no matter the dose, at a mid to high dose, you will end up with a gap in nutrients because you're not eating as much and a need for gut health support. What is AG1? Nutrients and gut health support. So this is where being focused allows us to lean in and be a good partner product, but tapping into a TAM that we couldn't have predicted was going to expand 5 years ago.
Right. There's so much there, to understand and to unpack, especially if you're the average consumer. But I think people's number one question is always going to be, does it work? People are skeptical of supplements, and I think even if you pull someone in, they're deciding they're going to go on their health journey, they're going to drink their daily health drink. How do you keep them from 3 months from now saying, you know what, I don't feel that different, and this is costing me money every month. I think I'm going to unsubscribe.
I love this question. There's a few ways that I think about this topic of, let's just call it efficacy. Like, we as consumers deserve to have some level of knowledge, confidence, or proof that what we're spending our money on is so worth it. There's a few ways we can appreciate that. One is if we feel different. Well, no supplement, not even AG1, that's a pretty rad supplement, no supplement's a silver bullet. You don't drink it and then grow wings and fly around the world. Like, there is a degree of understanding that doing something good for your body every day isn't always felt. But many of our customers do feel benefits. They feel more natural energy throughout the day. They feel the digestive benefits, less bloating, and all kinds of immune support over time. So the first responsibility we have is to provide research. That's why we've been investing in human clinical trials, not just what does the research say that say vitamin C that's in AG1 or spinach that's in AG1? What does the research say that does for you over time at that amount, at that dose, in this combination? But what does the research say people who drink AG1 experience, not just the individual ingredients? So that's one, is research. When you eat spinach or a good vegetable, do you instantly feel great that day? No, but you know it's good for you, so you keep doing it. And over time, if you eat healthier instead of poorly, you will see compounding benefits. You will prevent the bad, and you will accelerate the good. The same thing is true for high quality supplementation. So there's engineering a formula where people who have the opportunity to feel benefits will feel it. For anyone who says maybe, wow, I felt a lot of benefits in those first 3 months because my digestion was off, now it's on, but I'm just not sure if it's doing anything anymore. We will say, look, go try other things or stop drinking AG1 for a while. And often people are like, oh, I noticed a difference, I need to come back. You don't appreciate it until you stop doing something healthy for a while. But the other part is just providing that research. So for me, I want to feel great. I want to have the evidence that the product I'm putting into my body is research backed. So even if I don't feel the benefits of spirulina that's in AG1, I believe in the research that this is a very good ingredient for my body. But there's a third part. And it's not just does it work, it's even if something works or is research backed, is it the highest quality and most clean product you can be consuming? So I've had people ask questions like, why isn't every ingredient in AG1 that's a plant organic? As an example, it's not. Some are, some aren't. The reason why is organic doesn't mean free from heavy metals. Organic doesn't mean free from other things. So we have the highest standard. We test for 500 herbicides and pesticides and heavy metals and other toxins. So we solve for what organic solves for. We commit and test third party, not our own testing, third party, certifying that those herbicides and pesticides aren't in there, and are choosing suppliers that are meeting an even higher standard. That's tough sometimes because we'll have customers say, well, I drink it and I feel good, but I want to see organic in everything. And we have to be very thoughtful and respectful in that conversation and say, we get it, but what we're doing is actually better than organic in these cases. So it's nuanced having these conversations, and that's tough in a low attention span, soundbite world when you want to say something more complex, when people really only have the appetite for something very simple. But the proof is in the pudding. As I mentioned, the largest driver of growth is referrals. And even if you're an effective marketer, all that's going to do is get people to try your product. Why do I have people drinking AG1 for 10 years? Why are people drinking AG1 for 3 years? Why is a 35-year-old professional getting his 75-year-old mom on AG1? Because they believe in the benefits over time. That is not marketing, that is not podcasts, that is not hype. That is a high-quality product that we keep making better now over 15 years.
And I want to get into that and what the marketing strategy looks like from here, because a lot of AG1's growth so far, or awareness, has come from those big influencers, names like Joe Rogan, who have promoted the product. What type of customer does that draw in? And then who are you looking for now? I feel like, you mentioned the people who want all organic ingredients. Like that's a specific consumer. That's not everyone.
Nope.
where do you go from here? What does the marketing strategy look like?
So a few interesting things about AG1 customers. One, it is 50-50 male-female. Most people don't appreciate that. It is truly, it's such a special business. The other is that from an age and demographic standpoint, within the brand, people don't age out. So if you think of certain brands, when you do a really good job branding, it typically appeals to a very specific generation, a specific subset, maybe younger women or older athletic males. AG1 is truly split like later 30s, 40s, 50s, and one of our fastest growing customer segments is 60 plus, a more fitness, health span oriented, mature consumer. They're aging into new reasons to need the benefits and new ways to afford. So that is an important thing to recognize about this particular brand. That is different. So the playbook, what I'll share with you, might not work for your brand if you're much more niche and targeted. For us, it's fitness oriented, inclined to invest in health through daily habits, and prioritizes or values premium quality product at a premium price point. So that's where we sit within this landscape. As we think about the overall shift in marketing strategy, we were so fortunate over a decade ago. Some of our early customers, before they ever had a podcast, before anyone knew their name, before they became famous, they were drinking AG1. Tim Ferriss, 14 years ago, put AG1 in the 4-Hour Body. We weren't paying him. He didn't have a podcast. The book wasn't even published yet. But it was part of his shortcuts to healthier choices, to a more efficient and effective life and work. So he put it in the book, and it helped bring awareness. Joe Rogan has been drinking it for so long before he had a podcast. Andrew Huberman, people, other thought leaders and academics, they were drinking AG1 before they became thought leaders. So we will only work with people who are authentic AG1 drinkers. We're smart as consumers. We can see through it in here when it's like this podcast is brought to you by, or this show is sponsored by. It's good for general name recall awareness, but it's not convincing if that's all someone is saying.
Right.
It's the off-script things they say in between when they're like, I actually gave AG1 to my mom because it helped me so much, and now she's got more energy. Like, these are the things that make sense. So for us, there is authenticity in partnering with people who are only customers. Our customers are 50-50 male-female, and so it's not what some think. I was actually surprised. Even though I was a customer for 2 years before I joined the company, I still thought it skewed younger and male. But I was very wrong, and it's only continued to diversify in the last 4 years as we've shifted our mix. But still beyond creators, influencers, podcasters, over the last few years, we've shifted our mix to a more traditional media mix, more out of home, more television, more partnerships. We've partnered with the US sailing team, SailGP. We are one of the official supplement partners of Ironman. Like, these people don't put something in their bodies because a podcaster told them to.
Right.
Their bodies are their job.
Yeah.
So the investment strategy has broadened to show up in the communities where people prioritize quality for performance. Like, we're a daily health drink for high performers, no matter how you define high performance. So moving out of that just digital or creator economy for us has been about going to our roots, going to our people, showing up in their communities, and backing those who have chosen AG1 as a part of their fitness or their performance routine.
Yeah. And, I want to make sure we get to what you mentioned at the beginning, the next product and the next channel. I imagine that after so many years, there's going to be a lot of pressure on that next product rollout. How are you navigating that? And, is there anything you can share today?
Yeah, the pressure, it's interesting to think about pressure. Where would pressure come from if you're a company doing 600 million in revenue, you've 3x the business in 3 years? Some people are probably pretty happy. But at the same time, we do put pressure on ourselves. It's not just about growth for growth's sake. It's about the fact that we believe we've built the science, the supply chain, and the capabilities to be the most trusted and highly recommended daily foundational nutrition habit. And up to now, that's been one morning health drink. But there is an opportunity to use that drink as a platform for different life stages or for a few other things. And there is an opportunity to bring other versions to the market and use those capabilities for one or two other products. The one in AG1 stands for comprehensiveness and simplicity. So what we're not going to do is become a marketplace for single point supplement individual vitamins. That's a commodity, right? It's a marketplace. Some brands are very, very good at that, but that's not the approach to business we take. We do something really hard. Do you know how hard it is to combine live, culture, dairy-free probiotics, mix it with whole foods, and have it be preserved without any type of preservatives, artificial flavors, or sugars, make it through the supply chain, and have it taste good enough for you to drink every day, and meet all the quality standards that we third-party certify and provide certificates of analysis on our site? It's really hard. It's really hard. A million things break over the years when you're doing that at scale.
Yeah.
So we only want to do things that are hard and complicated and difficult to do with the level of quality and rigor that we can do, because we think that's what the consumer is going to demand. So we will only launch a few additional products, but they are coming, and they are coming this year. And we will be bridging into traditional retail beyond just drinkag1.com, because we want to meet our customers where they are.
Great. We're out of time, but thank you so much, Kat. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the show.